And I can challenge you that HIV has never been isolated from a single AIDS patient. Postulate number 2, it must be able to infect another host. You must be able to take it from one person, put it in another person, and it infects them. HIV doesn't do that. Postulate number 3, it must be grown in a petri dish under the same condition, and it multiply. In virology, we say no replication, no virus. Don't you? HIV doesn't do that. Number 4, there must be a picture of the virus. You must say, Your Honor, because the virus also has rights, you must go to court and accuse it. And say, this virus caused the disease in this person, and this person is infected, and therefore I am applying for permission to kill this virus. And the virus stands up and says, Your Honor, I am completely innocent of the charges. I have not infected this person. There is no evidence. And then, in the sample, they show the picture. They say, look, we have reverse transcriptase. And this reverse transcriptase, it shows that this virus, we have isolated this virus, not only isolated the virus, but purified it. Now, is there proof of a purified HIV virus? Is it there? Who is credited for inventing or discovering the HIV virus? Lac Montagnier. Huh? You know the Lac Montagnier? Lac Montagnier, you don't know? Well, the teacher will tell you about Lac Montagnier. But, listen to this. When you go for a virus test, a rapid test, what do you test for? Do you test for a virus? Do you go in a, can you see it under electronic microscope magnified? And can the laboratory technology say to you, here is what is killing you? What do they test then if you can't see a virus? Okay. You test for antibodies, isn't it? In immunization, when they inject you with a pathogen, what is that pathogen supposed to do? It is supposed to stimulate what? Production of what? Yes, it is supposed to stimulate production of antibodies. And when they see antibodies, they say you are immune, isn't it? Therefore, you will fight off disease, you are okay. Isn't that how they prove that you are immunized? They don't go further to say that those antibodies are actually going to fight the disease when it comes. That one, they have not reached that stage. But when they see in immunization antibodies, it is proof that you are immune, isn't it? So, if you are testing antibodies in HIV, why are you then saying that I am in danger when I have antibodies? Answer that. Answer it. Because it is proof that I am immune, isn't it? Isn't the presence of antibodies proof that my body is ready to fight off any pathogen that invades it? Huh? Now, when they do a rapid test and they see antibodies, how many of you have gone for a HIV test? How many? What do they write on the test? Have you seen this word? P24. Have you seen it? P24 triple antigen negative or triple antigen positive. Have you seen it? Is that not what they write, sister? P24? They just write positive and negative. But they are testing for P24. Do you know what P24 stands for? It stands for protein 24. HIV is supposed to have 9 proteins. But here they test for only one protein, protein 24, which is available in normal cells. completely normal cells. And if HIV has 9 proteins, where is the proof of the other proteins? Now, listen to this. Go and find this out. Because you are scientists. I'm talking to you as scientists. Or people who are studying science. You can be HIV positive in Uganda and negative in America. You can be negative in America, and when you cross into Canada, you become positive. And you can be positive in Canada, and definitely when you go in Australia, you become completely negative. Because in Uganda, you need just 1 protein to be present, to be called negative. In America, you need 3. In Canada, you need 2. In Australia, you need 8. So any negative, positive person in Uganda, when he goes to Australia, he loses his negative status. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because what has happened to us is we have lost the ability to think outside the box and to think that everything that white people send to us is true and accurate. The rapid test is what kind of test? They have 3 strips. They have Unigold, they have ditamine, and what? Okay. So, they put first on Unigold. They put on what? Determine. Okay. So, they put on determine. And it runs and crosses the line. And when it crosses the line, you are in trouble, aren't you? Huh? They say, oh. And then, after that, they bring another one. Starter pack. Why? To do what? To prove. So starter pack proves. So if starter pack is proof, why do they need the first one? Why can't they use starter pack in the first place? So they bring starter pack, put it there, and they also see if it crosses the line. Then they bring the third one. Eh? And the third one, they call it what? A tiebreaker, don't they? Is it really a tiebreaker? Because if it is a tiebreaker, why don't you just use that one alone? Is science a rotary? Can science say maybe here, maybe there, maybe in the middle? Can science do that? Can science be either there, or over there, or over there? No, it can't. I am here to tell you that that taste, rapid taste, is banned in other countries like Germany. Because it is what? They call it a complete hoax. Don't take my word for it. I want you to go and find out. Yes, go and read. Read about HIV. What was the original name for HIV? Do you know? It was called greed. Greed. Greed, as in electricity, grids. Yes. What did it stand for? It stood for gay-related immune deficiency virus syndrome. Gay-related. It affected homosexual men in America. They then go to President Reagan, the president of America, and they ask for money. When they asked for money, the Congress said, we are not going to give you money because you are gay anyway, and if God has sent you a disease to kill you, we are not going to save you. Then they go and hire a public relations company. And this public relations company says to them, unless you call it a heterosexual disease, you will not get money. Because in America it was only affecting homosexuals, hemophiliacs, and Haitians. Haitians are people from Haiti. They were refugees in America and they were into homosexuality. So in 1986 they come to a place called Bangui. Those of you who know about AIDS, you shall know about Bangui Declaration. I think it's written like this. The sea is not there. Bangui. When they go to Bangui, they had a problem. They had already changed the name from greeds to AIDS. Now, they needed, however, women with the disease, children with the disease, but they were not getting them. So they came to Africa, and they said, anybody in an African hospital, as long as you have loose stool, persistent cough, weight loss of 10%, and there was the third one, a fever, you will be called an AIDS patient. In that way, they could discover AIDS all over Africa. Look for Bangui Declaration. You will find it on the internet. So they went now back to America and they said, yes, in America it's only homosexuals, but in Africa it's everybody. The obsession for testing in Africa with the wrong test is because of what? Because of statistics. Because if you took black statistics out of AIDS, there would be no crisis. But don't take my word for it. There's another test. It's called the PCR. You know PCR? Palmer's chain reaction. It was discovered by a scientist called Kerry. Kerry, write this name down and go and look for this man on the internet and say, we met a man called Kihura Nkuba. He said, Kerry Morris. 1993, Kerry Morris won the Nobel Peace Prize. Nobel Peace Prize for chemistry. For discovering what? The PCR, Palmer's chain reaction. To get a small string of DNA and multiply it, and then be able to look at that sequence and be able to read properly what you could not read in a small sequence. But it is a DNA-based test. Do they say that HIV has a DNA? Do they say that? Nobody will tell you that. They say it doesn't have a DNA. So if it doesn't have a DNA, how can you use a DNA-based test? And that question is asked by that person. He calls it a scientific hoax. Are you following me? Huh? Anyway, I told you about a man called Lac Montagnier. Montagnier is M-O-N-T-I, Monti, E-N-G-N-E-R. Montagnier, the Frenchman. He was the one who first sent a sample to another man called Robert Garrow in America and said that he had taken samples from a patient called Brew and he had seen reverse transcriptase and he thought it was the disease affecting homosexuals. Professor Garrow, without any scientific study, any foundation paper, went and announced that he had discovered the cause of what was killing homosexuals, which they had called AIDS. Montagnier took Garrow to court for fraud. Garrow was convicted by the National Institute of Health. And President Reagan intervened and he says, let's share the royalties so that you have two co-discoverers, Garrow and Lac Montagnier. When you go for a test, France takes $1 and America takes another $1. But Garrow had not done any test. And later on, when criticism came and said, who did this science? Eventually, 2008, Lac Montagnier, Barry Sanusi, and Jean-Claude Charmaine, they were credited for discovering. But Lac Montagnier was interviewed in 2009. I'm saying this because you are here, because I know you work in the virus. Yeah? He was interviewed in 2009. I can give you the interview. And he said that if you find a person that has AIDS and they take proper nutrition, that person's body will revert to normal condition in 2 to 3 weeks. And he was asked again, so if we took an African child who has AIDS, gave them proper nutrition, will their body revert to normal status? He said, I would think so. 2 to 3 weeks. Now, this is my Pan-African serif. Yeah? Listen to this. 60% of any curative process is belief. 60% of any curative process is not the chemical you put in the body, it is the belief that you put in the mind. If you believe you are going to die when you take a medicine, you will probably die. If you have malaria and believe you are going to die, you will die. Now, most of the wars being fought in the world today are what is called psychological warfare. Psychological, to psych you up. So, what better thing to psych black people up than to make these people think that they are really infected with a massive disease? So, when a woman sees you, you know that in school now, when a sister sees you, he says, that boy is even infected. Don't they say that? So, you cease now to be a righteous black man walking, you become an infectious agent. You are going to infect other people. Huh? Now, I will challenge you today, here, men and women, young and old. If you have 10 cows and you give them to me, you test me using whatever test, and you find I have no virus, you can get 3 people who have AIDS. I'll put my arm there and you'll put it in my arm, and I will see if I'll die. Did you hear what I said? 10 cows, you put them there. Then you test me using whatever test you believe in. Any test. PCR, rapid test, I don't know, whatever exists, CD count or whatever. Now, if you want to go for a CD count, please don't go to the beach. Because if you go to the beach for 2 hours, your CD count will go down, and if you test, you'll be in trouble. Huh? And remember that when the CD4 count goes up, it also comes down. So to use really CD4 count is insane. Yeah? But you can test me using any test. And then I will put my arm, and you will get 3 people who you are confirmed that have AIDS, and you put their blood in me, and I'll see if I can get it. Now, look for this. There is a woman called Nancy Paladin. Nancy Paladin. The only study about how heterosexual transmission in AIDS, Paladin. It's double L, I think, D-I-N. Nancy Paladin. She carried out a study in 1988, picked 1,200 couples. One couple who had tested positive, another couple who had tested negative. One group were homosexual, one group were heterosexual, and they were sleeping with each other. They followed them for 11 years. They wanted to see if a person who is married or who has a couple can infect the other, whether HIV was sexually transmitted disease. Nancy Paladin. After 11 years of study, guess how many who are negative came out positive? Can you guess? None. Not a single one. According to the World Health Organization, you can go and find this out. It is published in a book by Professor Peter Duesberg from Berkeley, California. Duesberg is spelled like this. Peter Duesberg. He publishes on an internet site called Virus Myth. According to the World Health Organization, in his book called Inventing AIDS, I don't have to write that, Inventing AIDS, for a woman to give HIV to a man, according to World Health Organization statistics, that woman would have to sleep with a man 250,000 times. 250,000 times. That's the statistics. Now, I know you are all strong, mature men and women. But believe you me, you might not reach 250,000 times. I am saying this because our scientists have given up finding out facts. We have turned science into religion. And we have turned religion into science. A man stands there and he says, Jesus rose from the dead. And he says, where is the evidence? He said it's written in the Bible. Is the Bible a book of science? Is it? It is a book of faith. They call it the greatest story ever told. And science is not a story. We have just said, for example, that Moses wrote the five books of the Bible. Moses also wrote the last book, the book of Deuteronomy. In Deuteronomy 34, Moses writes about his own death, his own burial, what happened after he had died. Can you die and write? Is that science?
TV Africa, the right to know.
You know that the facts you believe in were designed by another person in order to control your thinking.
I never understand.
Oh no, you can understand. Kubanga wa black, understand wa black.
They take Africa that we are cursed.
Therefore, hiding the truth about the impact of what happens around you and the enormous potential which lies within you. Don't miss the Perception series as we open your mind to a new dimension of thinking about the issues that affect your life. Every Sunday at 10 a.m. and Wednesday at 2:30 p.m.
I invented Doubtful because it is more action-packed.
Unique products have been invented by different Africans all over the world and within Africa itself. These black inventors have changed the way we live through art, technology, and creativity in service delivery. Don't miss the Black Inventors every Saturday at 2:30 p.m. and Wednesday at 10 a.m. exclusively on TV Africa, your Pan-African station.
So, I am hoping that you young people, unencumbered by everything that's going on, you can really look at the science. Don't take what I have said as a gospel truth. Don't take my word. Go and find out. Find out the first question, why would antibodies, which is normally a good thing, why would you find it in my body and say that I am infected, that it is bad? And most importantly, are those antibodies specific to HIV? Does the presence of antibodies prove that they came from a virus? Does it? Does it tell you which virus? Huh? If you went and found a hook on a lake, can you tell that that hook was used to catch fish? Or if you found an engine, you found it in this room. It is an engine without carburetors, with just the engine block. Can you tell what car it is? Is it a Toyota? Is it a plane? Is it a motorcycle? Is it a Audi? What is it? So, just you finding antibodies, does it mean that they are from HIV? Does it mean that? So, your job is to look, not just to be told, is to look at the evidence. Science is about evidence. Science is about proof. But even if there was proof, they told you there was evidence. I have told you that with HIV you needed two things. You needed purification, and you needed reverse transcriptase, isolation, and purification. If you observe reverse transcriptase is also available in almost 50% of our DNA is produced by reverse transcriptase. So it is no proof. But you have to purify. What does purification mean? It means you remove any cellular debris and you leave only the culprit to say, that is him. Was that done? You have to demand that you do it here. Because now you can go on the internet. You begin by looking at the scientific paper. the original foundation document. How can one disease, one virus, be accused of causing thousands of other diseases? How? If you have malaria with HIV diagnosis, it is called malaria. With a HIV diagnosis, it is AIDS. Without a HIV diagnosis, it is malaria. How can a disease cause a disease that is caused by something else? How can a virus cause a disease that is caused by something else? We know what causes malaria. We know what causes Kaposi sarcoma. We know what causes pneumocystis carin pneumonia. How can a virus now come and append itself there and say, I also want to cause the same thing? How? How? Why can't the other viruses would say, go and cause a disease of your own? We don't want you. This is our territory. We already caused this. So I chose this because when I speak on television, and because you are scientists, I wanted to show you that it is your time to look at major things. Not to run out there and say HIV doesn't cause AIDS. No. Look for the evidence. Go back to the foundation paper. Go read the script. Look for a dictionary, a medical dictionary. Look at the terms. Find out all these professors that I'm writing about. Get their correspondence. Write to them a letter. See how they write back. Look for a person credited with this. Look for Lac Montagnais. Write to him and invite him to your college. Say, come and present a paper and say to us, how did this come about? How did HIV and AIDS change from AIDS to greed? But I said this when I was telling you about Moses. I said Moses was from where? From Lango. Why? Because Moses was born on the Nile. Is there Nile in Lango? Is there Nile in Lango? Yes. Other people don't know. My friend. You don't know that Oyam is where the Karuma Dam is now being built. Yeah? Isn't Oyam part of Lango? Then why are you saying you should be jumping up and say, yeah! Is Nile in Lango? Yes. I can't hear you. Yes. Is it in Lango? Yes. So, if I say Moses was a Langi because he was born on the Nile, and the Nile is in Lango, would I be wrong? No. I wouldn't be wrong. What if I added that Moses was discovered in a basket of papyrus? Do you make baskets out of papyrus in Lango, or did you used to make baskets out of papyrus? Did you? You know, the young people don't know. They are looking at me like this. They're saying, you man, you think Langis can make a basket, really? Eh? Because they don't know. Do these children know how to make a basket now? Eh? Moses was discovered in papyrus reeds. Is there papyrus reeds in Lango? And Moses was married to a woman called Shipura, according to the book of Numbers, who was from Ethiopia, and Ethiopia started from Lake Nile Valley, going down south, in what is present-day Tanzania, up to Zimbabwe. If he had been born elsewhere, he would have to travel through the Sudan on foot to go and get a wife. So I can stand there and argue that there is more evidence of Moses being born in Lango than him being elsewhere. But you being scientists, you are not supposed to just say, you know what, Noah made an ark and he put all animals there. You are supposed to put that through the eyes of a scientist and say, it doesn't make sense. Noah was supposed to make a huge ark to take 2 animals, male and female. So Noah is supposed to get 2 elephants and put it in an ark. An elephant eats 14 tons of grass. So 2 elephants eat how many tons of grass? 28 tons per day. If he spent 44 days, how many tons are those? How much grass? That is the elephants alone. We have not even counted buffaloes and giraffes and antelopes and warthogs and bushbacks and we have not even counted hippopotami. We have not counted that. A cow drinks 3 jerrycans of water. Every time it dips its mouth in a river, it drinks 3 jerrycans of water. Now 2 cows, 6 jerrycans. How much? And that's just a cow. What about an elephant? A pig sometimes drinks 4 jerrycans of water. And Noah was supposed to have pigs. How much water would he need anyway? I could also say, if really Noah got all animals and put them in the ark, then Noah came to Uganda. Do you know that? Because if there were gorillas in the ark, gorillas are only in Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo. So Noah would have to come to Uganda to get gorillas. There is an animal called a llama. It is only found in South America. So Noah went to South America to get a llama. A male and female, carry it on his old back and bring it to the ark. And then a whale lives in water. Whales can go up to 3,000 kilograms. Noah needed 2, then he needed to put water in an ark. So he needed 2 gazelles, 2 bushbacks, 2 water rats, 2 cobras, 2 giraffes, 2 rhinos, 2 cows, 2 goats, 2 rabbits. Can you believe that? As a scientist, can you stand there and say, and Noah created an ark? You know that is just a story. It is a story calculated to achieve a certain purpose. But it is not a story you can tell a scientist. But let me tell you something else. Africa is the only place where you find an electric engineer who sleeps in darkness. Complete darkness. He said, Engineer Okello. He says, just wait, I put on a candle. As you say, didn't you study light? He said, yeah, I studied light. I'm an electric engineer. I have a certificate from Makerere University. Hey, oh, so you studied light? Yes. But we are in darkness, Engineer Okello. Well, I don't have a job. Is that not what he says? All of you came here for what? To study and do what? And get a what? Job. To study and get a job. Who will give you the job? Because the one who gives you a job also studied to get a job. So who will eventually give a job? If she studied to get a job, and she wants it from me, and I also studied to get a job, so eventually who will give you a job? In science, who will? Will anybody give you a job? There is no job. And it is silly of you to come to school to look for a job. Number one, educational system is messed up. It is a lie. It's a hoax. It sells air and belief. It is like selling heaven. At one time, the Catholic Church sold heaven. They dissected the sky. In the 15th century, they said, if you want to sit near God, you can pay money, and they give you a certificate of indulgence. And you will, when you die, they will bury you with it. When you get to heaven, you will show it, and then you will sit near God. If you didn't have enough money, you paid little money, then they say you will sit very far, like God is in Kona Kamdini, and you are sitting here in Lira. It is the same thing as education. Education promises you the entire earth. It says when you go to school, after you have sold your goats and sold half of your land and borrowed money from microfinance institutions and spend your time hiding away from money lenders and or court brokers, that eventually your daughter will get a certificate. Then you will hold a party, and after holding a party, he will get in the highway of jobs, and he will get a good job, and he will restore everything that you have said, even adjusting to inflation and interest rates. That's what education tells you. And they point to this man and they say, look, he went to school. He's a well-educated. Look at this professor. Look at that person. Oh, they all studied. And you know how we know they studied? Because they are not in the village. They live in Kampala. They come home on Christmas. And when they come on Christmas, they live in a hotel, like Pauline Hotel. Because the village is too crude, too rough for them. You know, people will be smelling after sweating and digging food. So they don't bring their children, you know, in very fancy clothes. holding their hands to show them to their grandfather, and they take a picture with the grandfather on a smartphone or a tablet, and then they will show the grandfather, and the grandfather will say, oh, really, this is wonderful. My son completely went to school. And afterwards, after they have eaten his grandfather's only remaining goat, and even the chicken, and ask the grandfather to give them some cassava and some millet to take to Kampala because they have come with no food, and where they live they don't have enough, then they will wave goodbye, and grandfather will say, my children really went to school. My children, really wonderful, went to school. They have lied to you. They have hoodwinked you. They have bamboozled you. They have cajoled you. They have cheated you. They are telling you almost everything is falsehood. It is a falsehood because the most richest people in Lila and Gulu and Kampala and Mbarara and Kabare didn't go to school. In fact, in Kampala we have a university called KIU. You know KIU? The man who set it up doesn't have a degree, but he will give you a degree if you pay all the money. As long as you have paid the fees, he will give you any degree that you want. All the richest people in Kampala that you hear, Mulwana, Sebalamu, Chirumira, Sebagala, none of them went to school. They marry people who have gone to school so they can help them on signing on the checks or whatever. But no, they did not go to school. And no, in your village, that those who educated their children and sent them to Kampala, if you work for government and you are rich, then you store from government. Because government doesn't give you enough salary even to pay rent and pay transport. It doesn't. So you are stuck. All you have managed to do is bankrupt your parents. And the parents now believe in school as a religion. Complete religion. Even if you leave him without, I remember my mother, she would accompany me. After my father had given me very little school fees, he would accompany me, and when she was saying bye-bye, she would sneak some little money that she had remaining and she would give it to me. Fortunately, when I got to age 12, they chased me from the school where I was, which was a Catholic seminary. I was in a Catholic seminary. They chased me out of there because I told them that I didn't think that it was a good idea for God to kill the firstborn children of the Egyptians, that instead he should have killed the Pharaoh and the Egyptian and the children live. And also the priests owed me a lot of money because I'd sold waraji to them. You know waraji? What do they call it here? Rira. Yeah, it's called waraji. Yeah. I used to make waraji out of bananas and I would take it to school. So I'd sell it to priests. Now when they owed me a lot of money, they said, why can't we just chase him away and we don't have to pay? So that's what they did. So from that time I started paying my own fees, dropping out and whatever, because I believed that real education was something. When I finished my PhD, I took my university to court for miseducating me and for lying to me. Because here I was with all these degrees, my children couldn't inherit them. I couldn't sit on them and I sleep on them. They were just paper on the wall. So when you go in my house, I don't even know where my degrees are. I don't have a degree whatever on the wall. Because the person is trying to prove to you that he achieved something. And that is not achievement. A degree is not achievement. A certificate is not achievement. Your achievement will be if you contribute, you give the society something that they don't have. Something new. When you enter somebody's home and you say certificate on the wall, all they are trying to do is to intimidate you. Because they have nothing else to show for it. They are saying, you know what, I went for a degree. Now they are saying even a degree is not enough. That you need a master's degree. Of course, in psychology, if you need a master, then you're a slave. Yeah. If you have a master's degree, then you are confirmed as a slave because the master gives you a degree. Then when you have a master's degree, they say, no, this is for people who have a PhD. You know why? Because there are not enough in the jobs. What do you study in school? Most people study to sit. From primary to 20 years, what are you doing? Sitting, eating, drinking, and sleeping. Sitting, eating, drinking, and sleeping. Sleep and eat, sleep and play, sometimes sleep and sing. That's all you have done. When you go home during holidays, you are not saying, I have been away from helping my parents to produce food. Let me work hard. No, you say, we have homework. So you hide yourself somewhere under a tree and get a book and sleep because you are revising. That's all you do for 20 years, and then add another 2 years and another 2 years. And after that, then people say, now work. Work how? All you learn to do is sit. When you go to Kampala and they say, go and see Kisima Kanisi, you say, where does he sit? You don't say, where does he produce? No, because he doesn't produce. To a person who sits on a table to stamp a piece of paper, or put a signature, is that producing? In the evening, he wants to eat. Eat more than you who has produced. Most of you who are in the villages producing food, and you have children in Kampala, don't you send food to Kampala? To your children? Do your children return the compliment? Do they send food to you? No. When they talk to you on the phone after sweet talking you and saying, oh, daddy, you know, we are still here, we are working really hard, and we come back home tired. But can you send us some cassava, put it on a bus? We will pick it. Is that not what they say? Don't they ask you to send them some OD or something so that they pick it on a bus? Or if somebody comes, don't they give them a letter and say, give him food he will bring for us? So now, if they studied and they are so important, if they really went to school and they are so exposed, shouldn't they be the people feeding you, telling you not to work and not to bother, not to worry? But are they doing it? No. Why? Why are they not doing it? They are not doing it because they were deceived, and they have no way of telling you that they were deceived. Education, for the most part, is deception. Because what they teach in primary school is simply English. What they call science in secondary school is also English. In science, you tell, in primary school, you say, a child comes home, he has drawn a tree, and he has put leaves, branches, stem, yeah, taproot. Don't you have those words in your own language? Doesn't he go to school knowing what a leaf is, what a branch is, what a stem is? Don't we know this? We know. But we put it in English and think that's education. So what we can do now is see what it is we need to be studying, and what it is we need to be learning, so that we can convert what we are learning here into something useful for our community or for our society. For a start, there is a lack of what we call intergenerational communication. The elders, the parents, don't want to teach the children because they think the school has teachers who teach them. So you find what you know, your daughter doesn't know.